There is a story told of a young child who went to synagogue with her family on Rosh Hashanah. She was surrounded by older children and adults, some of whom she knew and some she didn't, singing and reading along with the prayers of the High Holy Day season, everyone but her.
But the prayers and the language were unfamiliar to her, and she was left without a way to participate. Desperately wanting to have her own prayers heard, she started to recite as many letters of the Aleph Bet as she could remember.
Around her, frustration and annoyance at her interruption spread throughout the congregation, so much so that the leaders on the bima paused to address the commotion. "This child is preventing us from praying," the congregants told the rabbi. "Her disruption is unacceptable."
"This child is praying the truest form of Tfilat Halev," the rabbi replied. "Her prayer might be different from ours, but it comes directly from her heart, directly from her soul. Perhaps our prayers should aspire to be more like hers."
Tonight, and for this High Holy Day season, our prayers and worship will look and feel a little different. We cannot be in our sanctuary. We cannot greet each other with hugs. We cannot welcome the new year as we have become accustomed to.
But COVID-19 and the regulations in place to keep everyone safe and healthy do not stop us from offering our own Tefillat Halev, prayers that come from the core of who we are as individuals, as a community, and as Jews.
We hope in this new format of High Holy Day worship, you join along with us and find your own prayers wherever you might be, around a table with friends and family, in the comfort of your living room couch, or in a place of meaning and inspiration. From our hearts to yours, Shana Tova Umituka, may this new year be a sweet year for all.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'yom tov. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב.
At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day sound the shofar, for that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob.
Hallelujah, take a shofar.
Our sages of blessed memory taught that the very first Rosh Hashanah was the 6th day of creation, at the end of which the first humans were created. God completes this stage of creation stating, "It is very good." This is the promise of each new year, a new opportunity to create a better world. As God's partners, we continue to create anew. From the darkness of evening, we bring light and life until the dawn of the new day in this new year of 5781. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol truat amo Yisrael berachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, the true voice of your people Israel.
Tekiah.
The days of awe, beginning with this worship on Erev Rosh Hashanah, are filled with dread, with trepidation, with expectation and anxiety. Those who lead the worship service offer a special prayer, Hineni, on behalf of themselves and the congregation to express their fervent hope that their prayers will be met with acceptance, that their deeds of the past year will be forgiven, that atonement will be achieved. In this contemporary setting of this ancient prayer, we give hope, we give voice to our own concerns, our own anxieties in this moment as we join together in prayer.
Hineni, here I am, Lord, standing before you, trembling and afraid, pleading with you on behalf of my people, Israel. Hear me, O Lord, I have come to your glorious presence with song. Hineni, I am humble, my Lord. I am trying to be the best I can be. I am trying, my Lord. And it has not been easy, and yes, I have stumbled. Forgive me, O Lord. Hear me, O Lord. I have come to your glorious presence with song, for you gave me the voice. promised to follow your ways, and I've honored it. Hear me, O Lord, I have come to your glorious presence with song. Hineni, I am grateful, my Lord, for your grace and your kindness, your mercy, compassion, and guidance, my Lord. You have led me to this very place where I stand, where I belong. Can you hear me, O Lord? I have come to your glorious presence with song, for you gave me the voice. You give me the voice, O Lord, to shout from the tops of the hills of your wondrous glory. The voice. You give me the voice, O Lord, that I should be humble and quiet, my Lord. But in our broken and imperfect world, I cannot be quiet. I have to be loud. I want you to hear me and answer me.
We continue now with our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam vad. Baruch Ata Adonai. Hamariv Aravim.
Shema Yisrael, hear the voice of Chana. There is no one as holy as the Eternal. Truly, there is no one beside you. There is no rock like our God. Shema Yisrael, hear the call of Moses. Embrace and carry in your hearts this day. In heaven above, on earth below, Adonai is God. There is none else. Shema Yisrael, hear the words of the mystics. There is nothing but God. No place and no person is empty of God. The whole earth is suffused with God's glory. Hear, O Israel, God's hands are our hands. God's work is our work. God's voice speaks through us. God is one when we are one. We listen, see, and learn from these words of our tradition.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, Miriam dances unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בו קיים לפני משה ומרים.
Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us, that we may come home in peace, now and till the end of time.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני,
Baruch Hu Baruch Shema,
הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Hi, my name is Ron Giesecke. I'm a member of Temple Jeremiah. As we join in worship during these high holy days, I can't help but recall my first Rosh Hashanah service in the fall of 1979. I was a senior at Northwestern, sitting among a large group of students at Norris Center. My then girlfriend, soon to be fiancée, and now wife of 39 years, Jean, was introducing me to a new world,
a Judaic experience that I have now embraced for my entire adult life. I remember then how uncomfortable I felt, trying to understand a service that was largely in a foreign language, with traditions that everyone seemed to know but me. The service seemed so long, and even with Jean seated next to me, I felt a little lonely, not knowing quite what to do. Over the many holiday services since that time, Jean and I have sat with our children and our friends by our side, joining in prayer, in song, and personal reflection. Each year brings new challenges, but my High Holy Day observance has always given me the strength that I need and new hope to meet them. This year will be no different. While our services will be in a new format, there will be the constants that I am now so familiar with. The prayers, the songs, the joy of worshiping together with our congregation. And Jean again will be by my side. L'Shana Tova.
As God created the world through words, we use our words of prayer to create meaning and connection. We create the possibility of realizing the sacred in this moment as we join together in the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ulfi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gehula Livnei V'Neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava. Zochreinu L'chaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'Chotveinu B'Sefer HaChaim, L'ma'ancha Elohim Chaim, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezra Hatzara, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gvorot U'Midom Elach, Melech Meimit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua, Mi Chamocha El Harachamim, Zocher Yitzurav L'chaim Berachamim, V'ne'eman Ata L'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova,
Amen.
Ufokdinu bo livracha,
Amen.
V'hoshienu bo
Our tradition teaches us that we should recite no fewer than 100 blessings each and every day. The point of this teaching is not to use some form of spiritual Fitbit to keep track every time we offer a blessing. No. The point of this teaching is to open our hearts and our minds to the fact that we have more than 100 opportunities each day to acknowledge a blessing, to express gratitude. Now more than ever, we cannot lose sight of the miracle that is our life and the many blessings we enjoy for which we must express gratitude. May each of the blessings we recite, each of the moments when we express our gratitude, be lovingly accepted by you, O God, and lead us toward recognizing the good that surrounds us.
So much of the meaning and wonder of this holiday and holy season can be easily hidden from us. Even with this new creative digital presentation of our liturgy, Rosh Hashanah remains a mystery. Buried in centuries of texts, shrouded in languages foreign to us, concealed in theology, mythology, and philosophy, many, if not most of us, are familiar only with a simplified understanding. Tonight begins Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the world and the first day of a new year. Yet regardless of whether we were born Jewish or chose Jewish, whether we learned of Rosh Hashanah as children or later in life, we know Judaism, its meaning and its intention always dives deeper than the surface. In its essence, Rosh Hashanah can be summed up into three simple Hebrew words: Hayom Hara Tolam. Today, the world begins anew. But what does that really mean? Logically, we know that the problems and possibilities of yesterday will still be there tomorrow. But this year, perhaps more than any other year in our lifetimes, we need a new world. The world we lived in yesterday was sick, body, mind, and soul. From the microscopic to the cosmic, each of us at some point over the last year has felt and seen the threats to justice, to truth, to community support, to living with good intentions and living up to the best in ourselves and seeing it in others. If today is the day that the world begins anew, then we pray, Avinu Malkeinu. We need a world of health, a world of honesty, a world of safety at home and safety when we're on the move. We need the world to change. Please let Rosh Hashanah bring with it a promise of that possibility. And if today is the day that the world begins anew, then we know, despite the fervency of our prayers, tomorrow will be no different unless we do something. Our tradition also gives us a guide for that action: imagination. The imaginative spirit that has been present in Judaism's ancient roots has fed into its many branches and movements of today. From the early days of Abraham to our own modern era, tomorrow we will hear just one of those moments, as our Torah reading will recount Abraham taking his son Isaac to Mount Moriah under God's command. Abraham will build the altar, light the fire, and brandish the knife, all while Isaac will wonder where the sheep is to sacrifice. Seemingly at the last minute, an angel will come and tell Abraham that he has proven his faith and fidelity to God, to not sacrifice Isaac, and instead to sacrifice the ram stuck by its horns in a nearby bush. The story of the Akedah has been told and retold 1,000 different times in 1,000 different ways. Some of my favorite retellings have been from Isaac's perspective, who usually takes the role of a passive character in our Torah. One retelling comes from an Israeli satirical comedy group who has reimagined biblical scenes and moments of Jewish history into a series called HaYehudim Ba'im, The Jews Are Coming. They show Abraham as a kooky old man walking to the altar site with his young son Isaac, all while having a conversation with God. Isaac, unable to hear God's side of the conversation, asks his father what's happening. But Abraham shushes him, saying, "The adults are talking." Isaac begs to go home, and Abraham binds him and begins to sharpen the knife on a nearby rock. Abraham continues to receive unheard instructions from God, and Isaac cries out, "Dad, Dad, Abraham," making his voice echo between the rocks. "Hineni," Abraham responds, as if the call was from God. "It's me, God," Isaac continues. "Release Isaac immediately." Looking up to the sky, Abraham hears something Isaac cannot. He nods, shrugs, laughs, and says, "Do you know how much time it took me to climb this mountain?" Then Abraham looks at Isaac, looks at the rope restraining him, and asks, "Don't you have homework due tomorrow?" What a wonderful retelling of an ancient story. What a powerful moment for Isaac. Restrained by powers beyond his control and understanding, carefully observing his surroundings, and employing some imaginative problem solving, Isaac creates an opportunity to ensure his tomorrow. It is now Isaac who travels the path of heroic protagonist, returning home but forever changed through his discovery of self and his role in the unfolding of our history. In 5780, we too have felt restrained by powers beyond our control and understanding. We too have been carefully observing our surroundings. But so many of us have struggled with imagination. Circumstance has left us frozen. Shock has left us silent. Disbelief has sapped us of our potential. We became passive in the grand story of our lives, waiting and praying for something to change, but having little influence over the outcome. For too many of us, our imagination for positive progress has become stagnant. The world keeps turning, but we dare not imagine tomorrow. Our tradition provides us Isaac and a place to look where we can only see restrictive reality. Now more than ever, we must look to those for whom imagination is the primary lens through which they see the world, to our children. Throughout my years working with children and adults who are kids at heart, I have learned from them that the world is truly filled with abundant potential. Through the eyes of a child, there is no question too ridiculous to ask, no potential that is too distant to reach, no circumstance that is too complex to understand. A child's history book is filled with blank pages, waiting to be filled with experiences that they craft and create. This has always been true and has become even more evident in this world defined by pandemic, racism, ideological divisiveness, and growing economic disparity. In the last 6 months of quarantine, protests, riots, campaigns, isolation, anger, and fear, I have seen the youth of our community, your children, imagine and take control of their world in new and amazing ways, creating a world where reality and potential find new balance, and showing us adults what is truly possible. I've seen high school students, Claire Schwartz and Elle Rubenstein, channel their passion for justice into teaching their fellow teens how to engage in our political and legislative systems, even before they're old enough to vote. I've seen 12-year-old Ella Marks promote love and compassion with lawn signs across the country, and remain true to her cause even when some chose to respond with senseless and larcenous spite. I've seen Stevenson Sr. Cameron Hirschhout take on more leadership roles with our regional and national youth group, NIFTY, helping to create a digital Jewish community just as powerful as the in-person one. I've seen 8th grader Michael Nagel take on the cause of unnecessary hunger in our own backyards, helping to provide hundreds of meals through our Feed the Hungry program. I've seen Mason Cornwell and Jack Weinberg be the first to envision a new way to become bar mitzvah, bringing family and friends close online while remaining home in health. Every day over the last year, children have shown us how to use imagination to create a future that allows for us to celebrate, repair, and establish the world in which we pray to live. Every day, the creative potential of biblical Isaac lives and breathes right next to us, reminding us that the tomorrow of our imagination is always a possibility. On Rosh Hashanah, the world begins anew, yes, but the truth is that every day of the year is brimming with that same potential. This holiday only reminds us to look for it. It feels appropriate then that this day of renewed imagination begins at night. Not long from now, each of us will close our eyes, and the world of our dreams will come into focus. A world where the only limit is our imagination. May you dream of a 5781 where compassion outweighs hate, where faith is placed in goodness and trust is affirmed. May you find joy and inspiration. May you be reminded of your own imaginative potential and pursue its creation. Tonight, may your dreams be sweet, because tomorrow we work to begin the world anew. Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us.
Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema holiness. Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, chamol aleinu.
In this new year, I hope to reach out to family, friends, and strangers in need to be available to offer physical and emotional support whenever and wherever it is needed. In the last 6 months during this historic pandemic, we have all felt a sense of isolation, which is in conflict with our needs as a warm and caring people. I hope to be able to touch the lives of those around me with a greater intensity and commitment than ever before, an intimacy that nurtures our soul and satisfies a core need as a human being. My hope is that by reconnecting and creating new connections with others, I will be a better person for myself, my family, and all those around me. If we can accomplish this goal, we can, collectively as Jews, truly repair the world.
Aleinu l'shabeach. It is our opportunity, our responsibility to praise God, the Creator of all.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, together we can heal the world. לתקן עולם במלכות שדי. We must all work together, 'cause we are all the children of Adonai.
Calling forward cherished memories has the redemptive power of turning our tears into laughter. Even as we grieve for our loss, we are grateful for the life we shared, the memories made and now held dearly in our hearts. As this Rosh Hashanah is also Shabbat, we remember those who have recently passed, those who passed this week, and those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death, occurred this past week. We remember the recent passings of Norma Brown, Carol Kristenholtz, Marilyn Goldsmith, Sandra Mislis, Joan Plotkin, Ruth Polikoff, Jane Shane, Ann Winters. Our hearts go out to those innocent civilians killed this week, caught in the crossfire of war, terror, and violence. And we remember the yahrzeit of those of this past week: Harriet Adams, Robert Aronson, Donald Bailey, Charles Bellows, Helen Blumenthal, Gertrude Bradford, Alvin Brotman, Charlotte Brown, Jack Brown, Alan Buckner, Stanley Carr, Eva Sipra, Robert Eatman, Laura Epstein, Stanley Friedman, Dora Frum, Ruth Giesecke, Gilbert Glenn, Ruth Grossman, Jordan Harris, Isidore Herzberg, Goldie Hurwitz, Arthur Jacoby, Sylvia Kaplan, Leo Kruss, Shirley Mogilner, Clifford Mora, Adele Olaf, Herschel Olaf, Joseph Ostrovitz, Esther Rosen, Bernard Rosenberg, Florence Rosenberg, Harvey Sachs, Helen Saldinger, Minnie Siegel, Martin Shapiro, Samuel Shaw, Hyman Schneider, Leslie Schneider, Beatrice Siegel, Kenneth Solomon, Victor Sonnenschein, Rose Sonnenschein, Sam Stein, Anna Steinberg, Julian Tuber, Bert Weisenberg, Bernice Wicks, Ken Wittes, Maxwell Wolf. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehe Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal, Shmei dekudsha Brichu, le'ela ule'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehe shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'imru.
Amen.
May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen.
L'Shana Tova. My name is Scott Levin, and I now have the honor and privilege to serve as your Temple Jeremiah president. I do so with much humility, as the past presidents and ongoing lay leadership of this incredible congregation have helped to build a Jewish community filled with meaningful connections. Our amazing clergy, led by Rabbi Cohen, and staff, led by Danny Glassman, live and breathe with the thoughts of what might be best for our community, each and every day. When my wife, Amy, and I first walked through the doors as prospective members in 2006, the parents of 7 and 5-year-old daughters, Hannah and Leah, we felt a connection. Since then, we have experienced 2 bat mitzvahs, 2 confirmations, many dinners and gatherings, an unforgettable trip to Israel, and so much more, all within and with this community. We joined with 2 other families on our neighborhood block and still treasure a pre-Kol Nidre dinner with them every year. At no point during that initial journey did I imagine being president of Temple Jeremiah, nor was it something I aspired to. As a family physician running a family medicine residency program of 30 residents, a father of 2 school-age children, not to mention husband, how could there be time? Relationships and conversations soon led to being asked to help, to suggest, to contribute in growing ways. Then there was an ask to serve on the board, the executive board, and then be the executive vice president, and now here I am. I tell you this because in my mind, the reason I said yes, as our wonderful immediate past president Barb Miller would have wanted me to, was this feeling of honor, privilege, and humility. To be recognized as someone who had something to give, something of value, was just too much to decline. This is just a bit of my story, and this is what I really wanted to speak to you about this evening, the power of stories. Nothing can bind a relationship more than a shared story and sharing stories. You do not have to look far to see this truth. Whether it is Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Homeland, or Ozark, the story, the arc of the story, the characters in the story, with all their strengths and flaws, is what creates gravitational pull to the essence. In the finale of Game of Thrones, and do not worry, I will not give anything away for anyone who may have been living underground for several years, Tyrion asks, what unites people? Armies? Gold? Flags? No, it's stories. There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. Nothing can stop it. No enemy can defeat it. Think about it. Is not the Torah perhaps the greatest story ever told? I did not always think of the Torah in this manner. Certainly, as a child in Hebrew and Sunday school, I did not. It is only as I have listened, learned, and heard some of the infinite plots, subplots, interpretations, and connections to the present day that I have even begun to think of Torah in this way. The common story of our beginning is powerful beyond words. The power of a story is what drew me to family medicine. Having been in practice for now 27 years, the relationships I have with patients, accompanying them through birth, health, wellness, sickness, and death, is the gift of being their physician. Sure, I love the science, the medicine, the problem solving, the procedures, but the relationships and the stories are what binds that together in something meaningful. The diversity and breadth of challenges within the stories are simply awe-inspiring, humbling. I cannot help but remember that I was born in Brooklyn. My mom was born in Brooklyn, as were her parents. My wife was born in Brooklyn, as were both her parents. So when someone asks me where I am from, I say, I was born in Brooklyn. I have a certain pride in saying this, not just because of the family history, but also because of how many incredibly talented and gifted people were born there. How could one borough have been the breeding ground for so much? There is something very special about the culture of Brooklyn roots. There is also something very egocentric about being born in and living in New York. Growing up, one can feel as if New York is actually what the sun revolves around and not the reverse. As I grew older and was exposed to other cities and other roots, I felt almost silly at times, thinking back to when New York was the true center of my universe. Now, do not get me wrong, New York is very special, but so are so many other places, people, cultures, and roots. As a family physician, caring for patients who live in Oak Park, River Forest, Austin, Belmont Cragen, and several other neighborhoods, one quickly learns there is no single item that can define an individual. Whatever one thinks about where one comes from, what they look like, how they speak, or the education they received, every individual is just that, a unique set of life circumstances coming together in a single person. One could never fully appreciate another set of life circumstances, but only seek to understand. In my work, we speak of this endeavor as cultural humility. One can never be culturally competent, just culturally humble. I want to think I have moved from a place of cultural egocentrism towards cultural humility. One can never fully arrive, but is an incredibly interesting and fulfilling effort, and all driven by story. So as we enter the year 5781 of perhaps the greatest story ever told, let us be open to sharing and listening to our individual stories within the larger one. Let us be open to learning about Torah and the myriad lessons within. Let us connect with each other in meaningful ways, sharing our stories of what brought us to this community, even to Temple Jeremiah. Do not be surprised if you start seeing buttons that say, "Tell me your story," to remind you. Thank you for the honor and the privilege of serving as your Temple Jeremiah president. L'Shana Tova.
God of our ancestors, God of our descendants, we give thanks for this new year of 5781. May this year we taste only sweetness, experience only joy, and sing songs of praise and delight with full hearts. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.